Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. My name is Afzan Mahadi, Head of Coaching Expertise, National Coaching Academy, National Sport Institute of Malaysia. Welcome to all ICCE members, coaches, teachers, parents, athletes, ISN, MSN, and to all viewers, local and international. Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to all of you. Thank you all for accepting AKK invitation and joining us for this Talk and Share series, and most welcome to join us on the series 101 2021. It is my pleasure to open this talk and share series for year 2021. Before we start, let's pray to our infected flood victim for all to for for a whole Malaysia and also free us from the pandemic's COVID, and please follow the SOP. I really hope that this will recover soon, and please allow me to introduce our talk and share presentation title today. Today, I'm going to discuss with you related to the multilateral development, building a foundation for the athlete's success in coaching perspective. All human beings have a master certain physical principle in order to physically efficient in sports. Everybody knows that skill needed by all athletes to be successful at their sports. So we need to have a look how to competent how competent our children are in all this movement and skill to make sure that they are increased their chances in being high competitive in any sports later on. So the solution to mastering all skill in is multilateral development. This is the one that I'm going to share with you later on in my presentation today. I really hope that you enjoy viewing and watching my presentation today. Let's begin. All right, operation definition. Today I'm going to share with you a little bit on I have 6 points that I want to share with you on the multilateral development, then correlate in relationship with fundamental movement skill, movement phrases, a little bit touch on the talent identification, multilateral training, and lastly, in a general means and methods of training. Next, what is multilateral development? Multilateral development, actually we can equivalence a little bit on the multilateral physical development. So multilateral development or general fitness, as it is also known, to provide the training foundation for success in all sports. This type of development target the improvement of the basic biomotor abilities such as endurance, strength, speed, flexibility, and coordination. So in many other model, multilateral development is actually a base in order for you to develop a team or for you to develop the athletes, young athletes to be second level or third level. So multilateral development started at the bottom of the pyramid system, and every model or ideas that made for the long-term athletes development. Multilateral development is a complex of measure, exercises, behavior features used in order to provide children learning experience and help them mastering certain skill. So on the multilateral development, we have a few elements on the movement skill, on the fundamental movement skill and the movement phrases, and multilateral development also known as the fusion of concept of necessity for overall development and limited or late specialization. So multilateral development play essential role in order to the young kids to mastering a basic element like jumping, crawling, rowing, and the might be jogging, walk properly, and so on. So the basic element from the toddler into the level of children level until the age of 12 play important role in order to make sure that kids or children mastering the all skills related to their sport specific later on. So fundamental movement skill, what are the elements that inside the fundamental movement skill, or as known as FMS? FMS actually includes three categories of skill, which is stability movement skill, locomotor movement skill, and manipulative movement skill. What are the elements, what are the contents or example on the stability, locomotor, or manipulative movement skill? I will show to you for the next slide. Okay, this is stability movement skill. Bending, stretching, twisting, turning, swinging, inverted support, body rolling, landing, stopping, dodging, balancing, or others. These elements should be every young kid should mastering all the element of the stability, or might be out of 1 to 10 might be 5 at the first level, another 5 for the another phases of level. So this element actually more to the flexibility movement instead of a static flexibility, but this is partly of the flexibility movement. And every sports, every athletes, every young kids must have a three big element here, which is flexibility, strength, and endurance. So partly is from a stability movement skill. The second one is a locomotor movement skill. This is involve skill that movement, which is a walking, running, jumping, hopping, skipping, galloping, sliding, leaping, climbing. This all element that I shown here actually is a main element that every sports, everybody in sport should do, like running, jumping, hopping, and even walking during the competition. So this is the element that everybody should master at early age. And then later on, we progress our level to the manipulative movement skill, which is involving throwing, catching, kicking, trapping, striking, volleying, bouncing, ball rolling, and passing. So this is element that I say here. The three category that I mentioned on the stability, locomotor, and manipulative movement skill is a combination on the movement phrases. So movement phrases are a combination of three elements that I mentioned, and they are introduced after children have mastered the basic element of the single fundamental movement. So the movement phases is look like a mother from the stability, locomotor, and manipulative movement skill. So the three elements that coach should know. The first one is a stability, locomotor, and the manipulative in order for you guys to teach your children or your athletes to the next level, which is a movement phrases. All right. So I like to share a little bit on the uh, movement phrases. The combination of the stability, locomotor, and manipulative, we can create like a small games. Like for example, for them to get to know each other. For first start, normally I use the three colors in order for us to develop the a sense, develop the basic what they call it regulation or the rules and regulation. For example, I use three color like a red, yellow, and green. Whenever I put up red color, meaning that stop. Yellow color meaning that they can move around, and green color they're ready to stop, sorry, and the green color is they can move around. So whenever coach bring up the color of yellow, sorry, the green, everybody like moving around and use a space, so we allow them to get to know. Then every when you bringing up the yellow color, they're ready to stop, and when you bring it up the red color, then they stop. What's the element that you learn from here? Here there is what we call it traffic light. The traffic light, whenever you run, or whenever you run, whenever your coach bringing up the red color, meaning that you break the rules. When you break the rules, it's look like you easily get accident, or might be when in a sports perspective, like empire will blow the whistle saying that okay, this is your fault and whatever it is. So this is how we develop the basic element on the rules and regulation, and we need to set the boundaries, what the boundaries purpose for. But the boundary purpose actually for us to get to know the space that allow certain children or athletes to go in certain sports or games. So we develop that, and from the movement phrases during the uh, active rest, you may use like prep soccer program. Like for example, allow them to walk like a crab, and at the same time you put give one a small ball and let them play with that ball without touching the ball, but use your both leg, and your hand will hold at the back, so we make sure that you combine all elements. So there is a part fun element that you may create from the movement phrases that I shared today. All right. So who's in charge in multilateral? In the presented concept, multilateral development is taught to take place in school during physical education lesson, and to be introduced by PE teachers within the volumes prescribed by school PE programs. But beside that, we have quite numbers of the coaches who actually undergo the specific program plus the multilateral program. So multilateral program is sort of a foundation in order for you to get to know a racket sport, for you to get to know martial art and everything. So in multilateral development program, we encourage a fun element in order to let the participants or young athletes to stay tuned and stay continue in that particular program. Okay, means of the multilateral development. Means of the multilateral development would include the above list skill and minor games used for complex development of movement skill and phrases. All right, what I just want to share with you the more or less like periodization of a training, which is involving a multilateral and specialized. This is adapted from Bompa 1999. On the multilateral, normally we started at a late at age between in Malaysia we started at age 7 to 12 years old, but we divide the age itself. But it's okay if you want to start at 6 years old, and but in a 6 to 10 years old we have a one category on the initiation, which is referring to the pre-puberty, and for the age of 10 to 14 we have the athletic formation, which is on the puberty. Why we divide in certain age group here, because we need to refer with the sensitive period that may occur for them during this age range. All right. So like for example 6 to 10 years old is a good time for us to develop the flexibility element here, and we are not really encouraged for them to do like um, conditioning, lifting things, heavy things, and we might uh, allow them to do like more to hands coordination, their own body weight and so on to develop their own muscle. And what about, and also the speed itself, what about the athletics formation? There is a certain element that we should know on the sensitive period may occur during 11 to 14 years old. Then after 14 years old, of course, the puberty, and we go for the post-puberty and adolescent, which is we refer to the specialization, but early specialization on that particular sports category, which is for the age 15 might be they are mastering in certain skill, but of course at 16, 17, 18 they might go to the focusing on the element on the looking forward to have a high performance and serious training later on. And of course on the high performance 19 years and plus, you might have the elite performance during this time, and the level of in terms of physiological body on the maturity itself. So this is a category categorized that they developed by Bompa in 1999, which is been followed until now. Then this is a good way for coach. So I would like to share here, in order for you to develop athletes from younger age until they reach in specialization, it might take around 8 to 12 years. So do not do any shortcut during the training session, because later on may affect the participants or the athletes who are involved with your training regime. All right, this is the periodization model that followed for the motor skill training. For example, like we have a few like initiation, form of training preparatory exercise for skill acquisition, which is, for example, like rolling, throwing, kicking, dribbling, and catching, and a simple balance like walking on narrow line, jumping on off low object. Simple rhythm and reaction time like catching. So this is an element that may occur during age of 6 to 14. 6 to 14, but you need to have 6 years old until, like for example, like 10 years old, what the progression level that you should plot into your training regime. Like for here, like simple spatial orientation and sense of body limb position, like crawling, rolling, throwing, front somersault, catching. Of course, you cannot allow your kids to do front somersault before they know the basic element over here. So this is more or less like a progression level. And beside that, like a simple hand-eye coordination, dribbling, catching, throwing. Even you may teach them how to do juggling. During my time those days, I used to do a juggling, a single juggling, and use both hand juggling in order for me to get to familiar with a hand-eye coordination. And then ski enhancing exercise like a ball exercise. This is a little bit higher, but still in the stage of initiation, which is ball exercise with partner, ball hit and throw, catching skill. Ball hit and throw, you may use like a wall itself if you don't have a pair in your training regime. And rebounding ball, catch, dribbling, relay, and so on. We may use these for certain sports category like a basketball, netball, what else, the handball, and so on. And advanced balance exercise like a scissors kick, handstand, backward roll, cartwheel against the wall. This is a stage of development that suggested in order to have like a periodization model for motor skill training. Okay, we go to the next this one, right? All right. We go for the second level, which is involving athletics formation. In athletic formation, the periodization model divided into 5 elements, which is started with advanced hand-eye coordination, ball throws and catches, ball hits, rebound, ball catches, and limbs coordination. The few exercises like coordination for limb skipping rope, ball throw and catches, advanced spatial orientation like skipping rope, backward roll, scissors kick handstand, cartwheel, and signal analysis and reaction to the various stimuli like handstand, ball exercise with partner, games and relay, and of course, lastly, the advanced hand-eye observation, which is jump with turn and ball throw, games and relay. Jump with turn is something nice to have if you mastering everything, because this can give like advantage for the those who are dealing with like basketball, netball, handball and so on, right? And the specialization, I'm so sorry for the wrong spelling here. All right, specialization, skill perfection, complex spatial orientation, balance and body control, body awareness, improve anticipation and analysis reorientation. So here we can see on the skill perfection we have rolls and rotation, ball throws, and cash games, relay. Jump with turn games, jump over object, rolls and jump. Roll and turn games, like jump over object and turn, and variation of the body balance. Improve anticipation is actually roll and turn, throw and catches with partner, balance, exercise again. And the last one is analysis orientation. This is the one that I mentioned, roll and turn. Before you, like for example, when you start the first one, maybe you can go like a 30 degrees, 60 degrees, 90 degrees, and become 180 and 360 degrees. And later on, you may mastering everything there. And roll balls and catches, game and relay. All right, this is the sample that I would like to share with you. Sample workout for the pre-puberty, which is like every coaches must have the training regime that related to the uh, your category group, like for example, initiation, athletic formation, or specialization. Like here, warm up on the form of training is jogging or stretching. Stretching, you may use like a dynamic stretching or passive stretching. It's just about 5 minutes run of the duration. Coordination balance, preparing for skill acquisition, hand-eye coordination, spatial orientation, simple balance, may take around 10 to 15 minutes. Play and game skill acquisition from the chosen sport 20 to 30 minutes. And lastly, cooling down, like easy stretching, easy relay, and so on, 2 or 3 times relay for 5 minutes. So more or less you may go less than 1 hour for the sample workout for pre-puberty for the younger age. And then we make sure the workout session must have a fun element here. In order, maybe you may use certain tools like for example music, to have like a more energetic movement, and you may use like a small game, fun game and so on, in order for them to stay tuned in your sports and enjoying. Look forward to have another session later on with you guys. All right. All right, I'll touch a little bit on the talent identification, but I will have another special program, a special series later on I assume on the February 2021 on the talent identification program. Uh, Talent identification program presentation. It's not a program that I made. All right, the talent identification I divided into three elements here: initial, intermediate, and final. What is talent identification? Talent identification is specifically organized and managed process of picking talented and highly potential children for further specialization in the field of sports. So talent identification, the correlation, the very strong relation with talent identification is talent development. Why? Because no use for you to do 1,000 of athletes in a talent identification, but you don't have any of the talent development program. Talent development program, for example, like multilateral program, specific program, whatever program that related for you to develop their own motor skill, their own physical attribute, and so on, more to the training regime. So say no to talent identification if you don't have talent development. It's just my advice. All right. On the initial, intermediate, and final, I'll share you a little bit what is initial level, what is intermediate level, and what is a final level. All right. Before we go further on the next slide, initial level is look like if you want to test young athletes running 20-meter sprint, flying start, for example, you may have a 20-meter sprint that might be you capture the measurement like 2.70 second per 20-meter flying start. But in intermediate level, you may include the same subject. Before this, you do the 20-meter flying start. But now you do 20-meter flying start. Okay, I chose basketball. 20-meter flying start and dribbling. That is intermediate. What about the final? 20-meter flying start, dribbling, intermediate level, and final shoot. So shooting is a final TAD, for example. So the combination of three elements that I mentioned, initial, intermediate, and final, is look like 20-meter dash or 20-meter flying start, and then it on the initial and the intermediate level is around 20-meter flying start and dribbling the ball, and the third one final 20-meter flying start, dribbling the ball, and shoot. So that is the three basic view that everybody should understand what is on the talent identification, initial, intermediate, and final. All right. This enrollment option at early training age, I divided to the initial one, initial two, and initial three. Initial one referring for the early age of specialization in sports. For example, like rhythmic gymnastic, artistic gymnastic, acrobatic, diving, wushu, and so on. They might start 7 years old as of official, but might be they may start earlier than the age of 7, might be 5. In China, for example, they started rhythmic gymnastic, artistic gymnastic as early as 3 years old for young children. Because why? They say that of course the flexibility may occur during that time, right? And a few other elements like a tennis, table tennis at age 8 years old, and group C like a swimming at age 9 years old. Might be they start early, but they start for fun. They start get to know about that particular sports. The initial level of second initial group, which is involving like hockey, football, volleyball, badminton, handball, whatever it is, at age of 10 years old and above. Athletics at age of 11, and they of course fencing and others like age of 12, like archery and so on. But you can start early, but be remember that you modify the program. Modify the progress is not only modify the space of your training or your competition area, but modification in terms of apparatus that you may use. For example, like a football, instead of you use number six, I do not know, number six ball, maybe you may use number five balls. Hockey, instead of you use a hockey stick with the wood or hockey stick, but you may use a plastic as soft hockey stick. Just let them to get to know about that particular sports, right? So it's also happen to other sports too. And for the 13 and above, like boxing, kayaking, judo, and so on, wrestling, and so on. This is a example that I shared with you on the initial three category of groups. Okay, what about the intermediate level? Intermediate level for the group A, for example, age of 9, like rhythmic, gymnastic, artistic, and so on. So like before they started at A7, but now they're going up into intermediate level 1, which is rhythmic, gymnastic, artistic, and show a little bit on the football at age of 12, and the group of boxing at age of 15. All right. And what about the final one? Okay, final one, rhythmic gymnastic, normally at the 12 years old, the final for the football 15 years old, and boxing whatever is 18 and plus. But normally, like early age, if they cannot go into the level of elite performance at age 15, normally they are not really potential to be a high performance athletes at that particular sports, because normally length of the duration of the for them to reach a certain level, minimum 8 years old, 8 years, sorry, minimum of 8 years, meaning that they started at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. At age of at the training age of 9, they should be representative their own country. Okay, so you may choose that, but doesn't mean that if they're not continue in that particular sport, they finish. We might be have like a talent transfer and so on to have further continuous in sport itself. All right. We go for the next level on the multilateral training. What is multilateral training? When you finish or you done with multilateral development, which is involving locomotor skill, stability, and manipulative movement skill, and you go to for the movement phrases, which is a combination of all three elements, and you go and you find the good talented athletes, and you need to continue with the multilateral training, which is involving identify athletes aim to develop the basic motor skill and motor qualities such as strength, speed, endurance, agility, and flexibility. So here we can see that multilateral training is based on the general means and methods of training. So along the way, concurrently, you may continue your specific training, but in a small percentage, right? All right, general means and methods of training. Exercise belonging to the sports other than the chosen for specialization. For example, motor quality of strength and skill. For strength training, exercise would both be developed by means of training, like exercises borrowed from the weightlifting. Motor quality of speed and skill for speed training exercise would be developed by means of training exercises borrowed by mostly track and field. So certain time everybody knows, and I hope that everybody remembered that multilateral is more or less like, if you know how to go, if you undergo the training session from athletics, from gymnastic, artistic, and also from swimming, meaning that is the multilateral training already. Why? Because all element inside the three sports that I mentioned just now. All right, means and methods for training. Of course, of multilateral training would be specified for the various group of sports and would further training means belonging most to gymnastic, artistic, track and field, weightlifting, ball game. Just I mentioned just now, and I can add like swimming and so on. Who in charge in the multilateral training? Coaches would be one of the introduced element of the multilateral training within their training program. Volume of multilateral training are to be determined for each age group and every year of training. So we have a different type of training for different type of age group, and it's not only referring to the age group. You need to check on the maturity of the athletes. For example, those athletes who are born before April and those who are born after July, something like that. They have a huge difference in terms of maturity and the body structure itself. All right. All right, this is a main training component at the basic training taken by Alexandra Kalchikov 2002 that he suggested the first year, second year of training, what hours or duration that may occur during a physical training, like 150 hours, 160 hours, and so on. I'm not going to go further on this, but this is the suggested by Dr. Prof. Alexandra Kalichikov that may use a certain level of training. Right. So according to the percent value of various motor quality to be developed at various ages, total numbers of hours in general physical training as well as special physical training could be divided accordingly. For example, like endurance need to have like 20%, speed 30%, strength 25%, agility and flexibility 100%. So total hours per year that for the initial level is 150 hours per year. So this is hours per minute per week. This is how detailed that develop the planning multilateral. The sum calculation can be done to estimate the approximate required volume in special physical training for the age 11 and 12. The same as above percent value can be used. So this is the comparison, right? So the more the early you are in that particular program, the bigger value percentage or the hours per year that you need to spend on the general preparation. All right, so this is a little bit for the 11 to 12 years old, which is involving um, theoretical training, 48 minutes and so on. So this is a little bit that you can share. All right, logic for the relation. Of course, we have the multilateral development, we have the talent identification, and we have multilateral training. Who actually look after the multilateral development? Of course, school PE curriculum, PE teachers, new coaches who are taking a group members of a younger age, and multilateral training is more to the training program, and coaches should be included into their training regime. And the talent identification should be occur initial, intermediate, and final during the training program that they continue. And then the talent identification is not finished or not done after you have the like for example finish with the final one can be continuous, because talent identification is a main element that continuous identifying which sports that actually suitable for that particular participants, right? All right, here I would like to show the ratio between multilateral development and specialized training for their different age. um, like here whenever their age, they started at age 6 till 28, they're here. This is a part of the ratio between MLD and specialized. Of course, you can see the dotted point here. You have a bigger dotted point. This is shows that this supposedly the multilateral development. The younger the athletes, you must expose them into a multilateral quite a larger in terms of intensity and so on. But when they are reached like 18, 20, you can see the dotted point become smaller and smaller. So what about specialized training? When you are age or young athletes are age 8, for example, you need to have a very small ratio of training in specialization. But when they are approaching 20, 22 until 28 or above, the specialization become bigger and bigger. So the percentage of activity is look like um, 60% for the multilateral development program, and specialization should be 20%, something like here. And the 40% here is equivalent to the specialized training here, and they become 80% if they are reaching maturity 22 and above. So this is the ratio between multilateral development and specialization training for different ages. All right. Okay, we go for the next one. All right, this comparison between early specialization and multilateral development program. So, of course, early specialization, we have a very quick performance improvement because we push them to have like you can see the if you we push them over here as early as 8 years old, we push them to specialize in that particular sport. Uh, but for those who are doing a multilateral, they do not know, they do not mastering any specialization during this time. All right. Okay. Then of course there's slower performance improvement for the multilateral. Best performance achievement. Sorry, achievement. 15 to 16 years because of quick adaptation. Best performance at 18 and older, the age of physiological and psychological maturation, inconsistent of performance in competition, early specialization, consistency of performance in competition. By age of 18, many athletes were burned out and quit the sports, longer athletes' life, and prone to injury because of forced adaptation. And of course, in multilateral, we have few injuries because we set up our foundation, we set up our body to be ready to be a part of the specialization later on. So this is why the few injuries occur there. All right. Suggested long-term approach to specify of training by Bompai 1999. Uh, if you see here, the preparation must be started with the multilateral development. This is a foundation level for every each of sports need to have. If you ask your athletes to run faster, they cannot run if they do not know how to walk. If you ask your children or your athletes to be like a jump higher, they cannot jump if they don't have the preparation of the strength element, the coordination, the speed, or so on. So this is how important the multilateral development before they go to the specialization. So normally multilateral development occur between 6 to 14 years old and continuous 15, 16, 18 on the specialization. And of course, later on, they may go into a high performance into an Olympic level. All right, so this is a long-term approach to specify of the training program origin. All right, that's all from me today. So thank you for your time. Q&A session. I assume any questions so far? Everybody understand? Anybody um, want to ask something related to the long-term athletes development on the multilateral training program that may um, actually help the young coaches out there to prepare your team better in the and avoid burnout at early age, avoid the drop out at early age, allow them to enjoy the playing time at their own sports category and their own age category. All right. Any questions so far? Um, I really hope that everybody look into this ratio between multilateral development and specialized training for different ages here. And be make sure that you are not going out of the boundaries that you're supposed to teach your young athletes. All right. Any question so far? I open up for the question, maybe one or two. Okay, all right. I have one question from, hang on, one question from Aukin. Can we start all foundation with fun element? Can we start foundation with a fun element in a primary school? Of course. Uh, you need to start with a fun element with the music, with the action taken by coaches or teachers itself. So that is why I should salute physical education teachers. I should salute coaches who actually look forward to be a coach at athletes category or young children category between 7 to 12 years old, because this group actually, you need to be like them as a coach. You need to be like children, take part in the fun element with the music in order for them to remain and stay to that particular sports or category. Okay, I would like to share with you how actually you can develop speed, or you can develop the alertness. You may have like one small games, like for example like a poison ball. Poison ball actually nothing inside there. If you see that poison ball is just a ball, and when you hit the ball to the body part, and then you dead, that's all. But inside the poison ball, you develop alertness, you develop speed, you develop agility, you develop balance. So when they run, they stop, and they change position and so on. So everything there. Okay. Do you think that participants or athletes know about speeds, about agility, about coordination and so on? They no, they do not know anything about that. But inside the poison ball, actually you develop the element that I mentioned just now. You look so it looks so bored if you ask them, okay, go run from A to B, B to C, A to B, B to C. Then they get bored because there is no challenge, there is no fun element there. So you need to encourage yourself to read more on the fun element game skill that may have in you can view from internet, how to do the basic element. I still remember during my time when I developed the not the Elite Champs program. I still remember for the late squash coach, Coach Amiza. arwah Coach Amiza, he taught me on playing with ball and playing with balloon. So for a first start, instead of use the black ball on the squash racket, you may use a balloon. Let the athletes feel the racket and the balloon first, then let them enjoy doing part. All right. So that's I can share. All right, from Azrin. Okay, Azrin Jamian. Which one better in terms of warming up session, either jogging or stretching first? Some people tell me terms of cooling down session should be longer than warming up session. Let's say warming up we did 5 minutes, then cooling down should be more than that. Is it true? That is a very specific element on the specialization. But for a first start that I mentioned and I showed during my session just now, that one is more to the initial level on the doing basic warming up and cooling down. Of course, like warming up, you need to increase your heart rate level, and cooling down, you need to going down your heart rate level. So that is why during warming up, you may use like a small a warm up, like a small fun games that you never saying that you never recognize or your athletes never recognize that is a tiredness. Is there any fatigue during that? They don't really care about it because they enjoying. So of course after they're doing like not jogging, whatever fun element that you may do, then after that you may continue with stretching. But stretching, I would suggest for you to do like a dynamic stretching to make sure that you are not dealing with a passive muscle later on. All right. All right. All right. I think that's all. Oh, okay. I've got one more last question from, okay, from Nazalido A. Muhammad. This is FMX, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, in your opinion, how strong relationship between MLD in the TID program and is it important to evaluate MLD at first before the specialized aspect in the TID test, especially kids below 12 years old and 14 years old? Thank you. All right. Multilateral development is a foundation level. Talent identification is a tool for us to identify athletes. The multilateral development is like a life. A talent identification program is a tool to check whether you have any disease or not, or you might be appropriate to be this or that. Talent identification program is look like an exam, UPSR exam, FPM exam. Where do you want to go later on? The multilateral development program is look like a school. So this is the answer. All right. And first, before specialization, okay, is it important to evaluate multilateral development at first before the specialization aspect in the TID test, especially kids? Yes, the multilateral development, as I mentioned earlier, is a foundation. You cannot jump better or higher if you do not know you do not have any preparation towards that. It's look like at our age, we want to play football this afternoon. Are we going to play football without preparing ourselves? Do we check our VO2 max level? Do we check our strength level? I don't want, we don't want to have like kicking the ball, but after that, wow, I have a muscle sore. Why? Because you don't prepare yourself towards a foundation level. So this is how important the multilateral development program towards young kids in order for them to develop the locomotor skill and so on. All right. All right. I think that's all from me. I really enjoy dealing or sharing my knowledge on the multilateral development program for the to the coaches, to the lecturers all out there, what they're supposed to do. I undergo this program for about 10 to 15 years, and I found this program is very good program. So I really hope that later on we can further to discuss more on the how important the multilateral program towards the athlete enhancement in terms of performance itself. All right, thank you so much for your attention. I really hope that we will meet again, maybe if not next week, maybe another 2 weeks for the next um, uh, titles of presentation by myself or others. Thank you so much from AKK. Really hope that you enjoy watching and viewing my program today, Talk and Share Series 1 2021. Thank you. Bye.